The Equinox is Chevy's second best-selling vehicle globally, and the compact crossover SUV is in for a complete overhaul for the 2025 model year. I had the opportunity to see the all-new model in person just a few days ago in Detroit, so here's everything you need to know about the all-new 2025 Equinox.
Motronics.
The all-new 2025 Chevy Equinox represents the fourth generation of the Equinox nameplate, and it delivers a new exterior and interior, plus gobs of tech, both on the connectivity side as well as on the safety side. Unlike the current model, which is offered in LS, LT, RS, and Premier trims, the 2025 Equinox will be offered in LT, RS, and Active trims. So LS and Premier are out, Active is in, and LT is the new base. I should know one thing about the trim level structure, and a few of you have asked me about this already, so I'd like to address it right now. So the question has been, why isn't there an LS trim level on the 2025 Equinox? Well, product planners told me that the LT trim will essentially stretch down into the general space that was previously occupied by the LT, while also being capable of delivering the equipment and features typically expected of an LT. So I suspect that the better equipped part of the equation will be done via a set of optional packages, and the base LT will essentially be a very bare and very sparsely equipped model to essentially hit the price point of the last generation LS trim level. So if you kind of looked at Chevy's crossover lineup prior to the debut of the 2025 Equinox, you'll kind of see that the last generation, the outgoing generation Equinox, looks kind of out of place. And that's because it features somewhat forgettable styling even after the mid-cycle refresh, which took place for the 2022 model year. Well, this is definitely not the case for the 2025 Equinox. And that's because it adopts Chevy's latest crossover design language. Though the new model is slightly larger in every dimension than the outgoing third generation Equinox, it still has a compact footprint. It also looks bolder and bigger, with design inspired by what Chevy refers to as, quote, strong proportions of the Chevy truck lineup, end quote. And even though Chevy designers might not be fans of putting it this way, the 2025 Equinox takes after the design of the 2024 Chevy Traverse, which, as it happens, is also all new. So if you put the 2025 Equinox next to the 2024 Traverse, you'll instantly see the familial resemblance. And I personally wouldn't argue if someone were to call the 2025 Equinox kind of a mini Traverse. Digging into the exterior design, most of the bolder proportions of the 2025 Equinox come from the fact that it's an entire 2.3 inches wider than the outgoing Equinox, thereby giving it a more planted and aggressive stance. And I must say that 2.3 inches, that might seem like a small amount, but in reality, when it comes to the width of a vehicle, when every millimeter counts, 2.3 inches is quite a lot. So designers tell me that they push the wheels out to the edges as much as they possibly could in order to deliver this aesthetic. And that is actually very good news, because the current or the outgoing generation Equinox, it really is kind of this narrow looking, tame looking crossover. It's very forgettable from a design and exterior styling standpoints. Well, that is no longer the case with the 2025 Equinox. It's wider, more aggressive, and that really translates to a much less forgettable and much more attractive design language overall. The front end features Chevy's highbrow lighting treatment, which initially debuted on the 2019 and newer Chevy Blazer. Highbrow essentially splits the headlights into two levels. The top level, which is horizontally oriented and features the DRLs, those are the daytime running lights, which also double as the turn signal and the hazard lights. And those are followed by a bottom level of lights that feature the actual headlight. And speaking of lights, the new Equinox also features an all LED lighting arrangement, no matter if it's the front lights, the headlights, the rear lights, the tail lights, or anything that is otherwise doing lighting on the outside of the vehicle. All of that is LED. Beyond that, the 2025 Chevy Equinox offers up three distinct front fascia treatments, one for each trim level. And the LT trim offers both the standard chrome grille as well as a gloss black grille as part of the Midnight Edition package. Moving around to the side, we can see squared wheel openings and fender flares that add tons of visual muscle, further contributing to the Equinox's bold, muscular look. There's also the distinctive C-pillar, which Chevy calls the shark fin, and it gives the new Equinox the appearance of motion even when it is sitting still. Those paying particular attention will notice that the C-pillar provides a clear familial resemblance to the C-pillar in the all-new Traverse, thereby underlining the mini Traverse aesthetic that I mentioned earlier. Wheel choices range from standard 17 inches on the LT to optional 20-inch rollers on the RS. The 20s are a first for the Equinox, since the biggest wheels offered on the last gen model were 19s. The rear end features horizontally expanded taillights that I found very attractive when seeing this vehicle in person, especially when the LED graphic is illuminated, kind of in a darkened environment. It looks very good. I should also note that I have not seen a gold bow tie logo on any trim of the 2025 Equinox, so all trims seem to have the black Chevy logos rather than the gold ones. I feel that this is actually pretty good news for most people out there and for most customers who are looking to buy or interested in one of these models. I'm sure that there will be those, say, the traditionalists, who would feel otherwise, but I personally think that the black bow tie really matches the personality and the design language of the Equinox much more so than the gold one. Having seen the new Equinox in person, I must say that it looks very good overall. It's substantially better looking than the last generation model, and that is very good news for this very important model for Chevy. The inside of the 2025 Chevy Equinox is just as new as the exterior, thanks to a more modern and spacious cabin that focuses on technology and user experience. Starting with the cockpit, there is an 11-inch diagonal configurable driver information center, or essentially the gauge cluster, that's right in front of the driver. Layered against it is a new infotainment system that measures in at 11.3 inches diagonally. That's 30% larger than the biggest screen offered in the outgoing Equinox. And like all of Chevy's latest vehicles, the infotainment system here has Google built in, and it also features wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Designers and engineers made it a point to tell me that they pulled the dash away from the driver and the passenger, the front passenger, by roughly an inch, thereby creating a more spacious interior. The shifter is no longer in the center console. Instead, it's now on the right-hand steering wheel stalk, and it is all digital. Doing this removes the mechanical link to the transmission, thereby opening more storage space below the infotainment screen ahead of the center console. Designers also tell me that the materials provide an engaging and tactile feel, while the decorative trim with coordinated textures is used in the seats, the instrument panel, doors, the storage areas, and other areas of the cabin. Check out these speaker grills, for instance. These feature a unique looking speaker grill pattern in the doors that was not present in the last generation model. One interesting feature is in the rear seat, which has a flat floor, a feature that is typically found in electric vehicles. Well, given that the Equinox is obviously not an electric vehicle, at least not this particular Equinox, that is a pretty interesting achievement in my opinion, and it really provides obvious use case benefits. So if you want to slide in a bike or a flat screen TV that you're transporting, you have a flat load floor there in the second row. Just slide it in. You don't have to move it over the tunnel at all. It's just in and through. In the trunk, there's a hidden rear cargo storage space below the primary load floor, and that did not come at the expense of a spare tire, which the 2025 Equinox is also equipped with. The all-new Equinox features more safety and driver assistance technology than ever before. It all starts with standard Chevy Safety Assist, which is a suite of features that includes automatic emergency braking, forward collision alert, front pedestrian and bicyclist braking, following distance indicator, lane keep assist with lane departure warning, as well as the IntelliBeam auto on and auto off headlights. Other safety and driver assistance features include side bicyclist alert, rear vision camera, rear seat reminder, adaptive cruise control, lane change alert with side blind zone alert, enhanced automatic emergency braking, rear cross traffic braking, rear park assist, and enhanced lane keep assist. Alas, Super Cruise will not be available, and that really, from what product planners tell me, that's essentially a decision that was made to keep costs of the 2025 Equinox down. Essentially, Super Cruise is kind of an expensive technology that requires an expensive array of sensors and other tech, and the customers in this segment would not necessarily be all that interested in paying to equip the Equinox with all of those features. So there is no Super Cruise, but there is adaptive cruise control, and that kind of gets you, I don't know, roughly 60-70% of the way there. The 2025 Chevy Equinox carries over the turbocharged 1.5 liter four-cylinder engine from the last generation model. And of course, this boosted four-pot is good for 175 horsepower. The transmissions, however, are completely different from those in the last generation Equinox. Front-wheel drive models get a continuously variable transmission, otherwise known as a CVT, while all-wheel drive models get an 8-speed automatic. And that is a substantial change from the prior generation, which featured a 6-speed auto across the board. A first for the Equinox are driver selectable modes, and this is pretty cool. So these are only standard on the RS and active trims, and they are accessed using a rotary knob on the center console. So front-wheel drive models get normal and snow modes, while all-wheel drive models add an off-road mode to the normal and snow modes. The modes adjust the performance of the engine as well as the transmission to best handle the driving conditions. Engineers also tell me that they overhauled the chassis and suspension tuning to deliver a smoother, more compliant, and more comfortable ride. Towing is rated at a maximum of 1,500 pounds, but that's only for all-wheel drive models. The front-wheel drive models are rated at an 800-pound maximum as far as towing is concerned. Now, there has been some talk about a more powerful engine option in the 2025 Equinox. Well, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that is not in the cards. Those who worked on the project tell me that there simply is not enough demand for an up-level or a more powerful engine option, which is what resulted in the 2-liter turbo LTG engine being removed or discontinued from the last generation Equinox in the first place. So not enough demand. The 1.5 turbo four-cylinder is the only engine option that will be available in the 2025 Chevy Equinox. Okay, so let's talk about timing. GM says that the 2025 Chevy Equinox will begin to be available in 2024, and pricing will be revealed closer to the start of production. Speaking of production, GM authority sources have previously indicated that the start of regular production, or SORP, is scheduled to begin on May 18th of 2024 at GM's San Luis Potosí plant in Mexico. Now, a few words about the business side of the equation. So as I mentioned earlier, the Equinox is a very popular product that's also vital for Chevy and for its parent company, General Motors. In fact, the Equinox is the second best-selling Chevy nameplate globally, just behind the Silverado. So you take that and couple it with the fact that the Equinox competes in the largest and most competitive segment in the industry, and it's clear that the Bowtie must get this product right. I should also note that with the overhaul of the 2025 Equinox, every Chevy crossover and SUV, including the Trax, the Trailblazer, the Blazer, the Traverse, as well as the Tahoe and Suburban, all of these products are either all new or they have been refreshed in the last 2 years. And that gives Chevy a very strong and very competitive lineup in the utilities space. And that space, of course, has been growing by leaps and bounds over the past few years at the expense of other vehicle types or other body types, if you will, such as sedans. So you can see just how and where Chevy and GM have been investing their resources. It's really been all about crossovers, SUVs, utility vehicles together cumulatively. And the Equinox is, of course, part of those product plans and part of that strategy to invest heavily into utilities. So the last gen Equinox was not a particularly bad vehicle, but the problem with it was that it just didn't stand out from the crowd all that much. It was quite forgettable. It had ho-hum styling, and there were other problems with it. For instance, the RS trim level was kind of shoehorned into it, in the middle of its life cycle. It wasn't planned to have an RS trim level from the get-go. It also didn't have the two-tier or the highbrow headlight treatment, front-end treatment. So it was kind of an amalgamation of things, and it ended up in a kind of a ho-hum product overall. Well, the 2025 Equinox aims to fix all of that, delivering a more modern package with bolder styling, gobs of tech and screens, and a bunch of safety features as well. So put all that together, and we're looking at a massive improvement in this product that is core, that is absolutely essential for Chevy and for GM from a business standpoint. We will have a whole lot more about the 2025 Chevy Equinox very soon, so be sure to stay glued to gmauthority.com and to the Metrolix channel right here. I'm Alex Luft. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Motrolix.